guys, this is Trey Rice. I'm with him. He made me a brand new Calabash, and we are lighting it up for the first time. The cool thing about this is that they're sisters. He's got one, and I got one. They're practically identical. The briars are from different cutters, right?
Yeah.
But the adornments, the cap and the stem accent, is all the same. Tell me again what wood that is.
A boinia burl.
A boinia burl, and that is in Asian,
Southeast Asia, Thailand, that area.
Boy, and let me tell you about this wood, and we're going to show you some pictures at the end of this video. But the wood is just like briar in the sense that it's got straight grain if you want straight grain, or it's got bird's eye if you want bird's eye. And it is not actually from the tree itself, but from a burl off of the tree. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we chose this to use for these pipes. This is going to be awesome.
Yep.
So what are you smoking? What do you got?
This is one of your blends.
Oh, that's my Deer Lease blend. He's going to give me some proper feedback on it.
I don't know about proper, but I'll give you some feedback.
And I am smoking, I've even forgot. Oh, I'm smoking the McClellan's, actually the McCraney's Red Ribbon. Red Ribbon. 2008, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, here we go. Let's spark them up and see what we got. Oh, this sucks. The draws are very easy. Nice. Okay, so we started this project, gosh, almost a year ago, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Back in March. And I kind of I started getting on a kick for calabashes. And started looking around, and I saw that Tom L. Tang made some, and of course, good luck on trying to find a Tom L. Tang calabash, and I thought, I wonder if Trey can make one like this, and so that's how this project kind of got started. What did you think, like, when I came to you the very first time and said, "Hey, Trey, I want a calabash"? What were your thoughts? I know you had tried to start one before that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I immediately went to thinking about that pipe. I got it shaped and a cap fit to it, and just really didn't like the way that it was looking. I had taken off a little bit too much in the nook, mm-hmm. and there was no recovering from that mistake.
So once it's done, it's done, right?
It's set up on the shelf above my workbench there it's still there now, so that was back in 2018, 2019, something like that. So it had been a project that I've been wanting to try again, and I'm glad we were able to make it happen. Like, it turned out really nice.
The blast on this one is just exceptional, and it's 360. Mm-hmm. It's all the way around. This a good circular blast all the way around. I mean, how often do you come across something like that?
If you can, it's really all about the briar selection in the beginning. So if I'm able to get a pretty good feel on what's happening inside that block, then it's not as difficult to get the orientation right, to get the depth that one has. That's more unique to me than the pure orientation of it.
How does the blast actually work? I mean, I know that, like, I have a few pipes that are straight grained, mm-hmm. but you can also see circular mm-hmm. patterns around it. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're looking for when you're carving?
Those are your growth rings that you're seeing.
I see.
Going perpendicular to the grain. So usually after you've shaped it and you've sanded it down to 220 grit or so, you can start to see those a little bit better. And usually once you start to see those, I know it's going to be a pretty good blast, if it's going to be a blast.
So your machine, you put this in your machine, and are you just like fine blasting? I mean, are you getting right up into it to kind of see what it's doing? How does that work?
I'd have to show you.
Okay.
But you can play with the pressure, you can play with how close and how far you are from the briar, and that's going to give you different results. So Usually when I start, I'm holding the nozzle probably an inch or so away from the briar, and I'm doing a light blast over the whole thing just to see what the grain's doing.
See what pattern can come out of it.
And then I'll play with how deep I'm trying to get the blast or how light. A lot of it's dependent. So yours, the growth rings are further apart than the growth rings on mine.
Oh.
So in general, I would do a lighter, crisper blast here, and that would mean pulling the gun away a little bit more and dropping the pressure if I wanted to, than yours, which would be a more aggressive blast to get that depth.
What material are you taking away? Is it I guess it's a soft.
It's got to be the soft because that's what is
like
getting pulled away. But
yeah.
It's if you look at like a cross section of a normal tree, you've got the lighter in between, and then you have your growth rings that are the darker growth rings. I think it would be equivalent to the darker growth rings that are the harder element on that burl.
That's interesting. You know, I look online at a lot of different pipes, and I think sandblast now is just as popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially good sandblasts as a smooth finish.
I get more requests for sandblasts than I do smooth finishes.
What about that is the popularity? Is it the feel in your hand? You know, the look? I guess it's a combination of all things.
Definitely a combination. So it's part of it's tactile, so you get to feel that. They're more durable, so you can drop it, and if you get a ding in a sandblast, it's not nearly as noticeable as a ding in a smooth pipe, and they're cheaper.
Why are they cheaper? If they're as popular?
Because it's a good question. I think the grade of briar that you're able to use is an aspect of that.
So you're not looking for absolute perfection in the briar.
You don't need, really, for a sandblasted pipe, you don't need, it depends on the color. So this is a general statement. But you don't need as consistent and tight of grain as you would want in a smooth. So if I go over there and look at a block and it has really fanned out grain and it's flaming in areas and it has kind of patchy areas where you have a lot of dark grain in one and then some tight straight grain in another area, that inconsistency is not noticeable in a blast, where it would be
in a smooth,
slap in your face in a smooth.
So as far as time though, is a smooth pipe more because of polishing, finishing? Does it take more time?
That part of it, and then letting the finish that I use, curing that takes longer. I've got to wait time in between each coat of finish.
And I guess it's there's a lot of smooths out there, but to really get a nice grained, smooth finished pipe, I guess it's more of a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make do with this. I can see that. But it just, the rage for a long time was always smooth. And I'm guilty of that, because I love a nice, smooth, tight-grained pipe, or like multiple bird's eye. I'm really getting into bird's eye lately. But also, some of my blasts are some of my favorite pipes, Well, and you're right, the tactile part of it is nice. For me, it becomes more of an extension of what I'm doing or what I'm holding, rather than a piece that you're delicate with. Careful. And you have it just, I can just grab this and not worry about it. So,
well, for reference, those Mimo grade 1 blocks that I have, the number that I've heard on the rarity of those is 1 in 1,000 blocks would be
a smooth,
a grade 1
wow.
Mimo block. And not all of those are smooths. They're a roll of the dice also. But in general, the grain on those is a lot tighter and a lot cleaner, more consistent than
this
the grade
is
2.
freaking delicious, dude.
Good.
This is it. I've had this before. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got a couple of tins of it. I'm not sure, but it's basically a McClellan Red Virginia blend. Is what it is, And I've had McClellan Virginias, but this one, in this particular, and again, what I like about this Calabash it's more like my gourd calabash because the internal component of this is very open, very chambered. You know, there's a lot of availability for that smoke and that condensation to kind of, you know,
drop and cool a little bit.
Yeah. So how long do you, from start to finish? What did we get on this one?
I'm not sure hours wise. Definitely longer, probably twice as long as a typical pipe. Wow.
So if somebody was to come to you and say they wanted a calabash, would you be willing to do it again? So this was a fun project for you?
I'm always. My wife calls me a serial hobbyist, but I think it's more a serial learner. I love learning new things. So, like working with that accent wood.
Yeah.
That was cool and interesting to do. It was cutting it. It's a pretty oily wood, so it's almost like olive wood. If you've ever, anyone that's cut or worked with olive wood before, it has a little bit of a cutting it and getting a clean finish on it. It almost looks finished, you know, right off the lathe without an actual finish on it. But the challenge of engineering all the components of that's fun for me too.
Yeah, what was the study part of this that you had to do to kind of learn? I mean, it was your first one, so of course you're not going to just go into it blind. You're not going to waste material. So, what kind of things did you have to learn about this?
There's kind of two methods on how
it's
to.
got a lot of vanilla in it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of marshmallowy vanilla. Yeah.
Yep, really good. There's kind of two ways to do the cap. So you can, the way that I did it is to line the gourd part of the briar bowl with cork, and then you're just fitting a briar cap in that, friction fitting it. And then the other way is to put an ebonite ring in there and do a gasket that fits around the bowl component of it. I went with the cork because I felt like it was more traditional, and I think there's a little bit of a you could replace the gasket too, but the cork in that is all replaceable, so that's an easy thing to fix should it ever break down 50 years 100 years down the road, whenever that.
Yeah, but like you were saying that you were telling me that I shouldn't have to worry about that, probably not in my lifetime. That's nice. That's really cool. So what are some other shapes that you would like to experiment with?
My joke in college was I wanted to pierce the shank. So I would like to pierce, you've seen like Abe Herbaugh and
where like they have a wood part and the stem goes through the wood and
with either a horn or a wood accent.
Yeah.
I'd like to do something like that. A cavalier I've never done.
Oh, that would be an interesting one.
Let's see what else. This year I wrote down we do goals at the beginning of the year, what our family wants to accomplish, and one of mine was to learn how to do spigots, silver spigots.
So like a military mount of,
but with the silver on the stem portion too.
And you do the silver work.
So I spin the silver caps on my military mount, princes and billiards that I do, but the actual piece that fits on the stem, that would be a different. I've never done that part before. It's a little different.
Have you made any with a silver accent on there?
I've got some there on the bench.
Oh, cool! I'd like to check those out. So, what's your wait list right now? I mean, you told me you're about 6 months out, right?
Yeah, there's about 10 or so. And it feels like they take me longer and longer to get through.
Well, when you have kids, your free time doesn't become so free anymore. You pay for it.
And anyone that agrees to do a commission with me, I definitely preface up front that it's going to be a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And, ask for patience.
As far as I'm concerned, it's worth the wait.
Thanks.
We're tasting some Blantons. All of you guys that are whiskey nuts out there.
From Japan, not just any Blantons.
Yeah.
Japan only.
This is something you can't find in the States, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I took a work trip to Japan over the summer, and there's 2 bottles. There's a black label and a red label, and we're tasting the red. I think it's Takara is what it's called. But really good.
Pretty tasty. So what do you think about that tobacco so far? Honestly.
Need some more time. I've been talking.
You relight, huh? Relight. So I'm going to post your contact information if anybody wants to get a hold of you. But I'm on the list again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You
so
are.
at least we really get that squared away so that I'm not going to wait a year, hopefully. Although this,
Hopefully.
like I said, this was worth the wait. Is there anything else about this project that was unique to you?
You know, the engineering or the figuring out of the different diameters of the different components was probably the most challenging part. So I've got to calculate the diameter of the inset that I cut for the cork in the briar portion. That has a depth and a diameter, and then that steps down again into the funnel that goes to the stem. And then the cap has the briar inner bowl, the accent outer bowl, and thinking through all those different diameters that stack on each other.
Right, and then
It's
you've got to
pretty-
find out how much of a lip you want for it to
Mhm.
come out. Yeah, now there's a lot of measuring going on with this thing.
Yeah, sketching, thinking,
Wow.
fitting.
Well, if you're anything like me, the thinking part's what takes the longest.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a delight. I really love this pipe. Smokes wonderfully. Gosh, it's almost a true Calabash feel. I think a real Calabash gourd, and I've got a Boots Shokan gourd that's kind of big. The draw on it is almost too free flowing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But to me, this is very much like what I would expect out of a normal pipe, as far as the draw goes. I know a lot of guys always ask me about that. Well, how does it smoke? How does it draw? You know, and I can't tell the difference really between this and another pipe.
It may
I
be
have.
just a hair more open than.
Yeah, a little bit, which might lead to some more relights in the long run. But the smoothness of the flavor is incredible to me, and that's what I enjoy about it. I don't mind so much having to relight
Right.
if I'm getting that same flavor profile all the time. You know?
Yep. Now, relight shouldn't bother you. That's
Yeah.
not the goal, right?
Yes, man. Sherlock Holmes, eat your heart out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is awesome. Well, on to our next project, right? Yeah, I sure do appreciate this, Trey. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, if you need to get a hold of Trey, I'm going to post all of his contact information in the description part. Hope you enjoyed this. You got any questions, contact me, contact Trey. We'll get you going. These are awesome pipes. And the Trey, still the cool thing about you, I guess we met back in 2019, before all of the...
Yeah, Texas show, right?
Yeah, and when did you start pipe making? Not a whole long time before that.
It was officially started in 2009, but there was a break after college there. So 2016 is when I really started picking it back up again. 2017.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I love about your pipes is the progression that I've seen over the years, but it's still a pipe that won't break the bank. And they're great smokers. Knowing that, I go back to you all the time. I want another pipe because I don't want to have to. Well, part of it's financial. I don't want to have to break the bank.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm going to get a pipe that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a great week. Don't forget, make all your piping moments count. We'll see you next time. Trey, thanks a lot. Enjoyed having you. We're going to go look at some other things and maybe get another project going. Guys, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.